You gotta turn it more. Like you have to like turn that handle almost to your ear to drink it right. Nope, there,
Like
there. Yep, that
So-
now the logo's center.
Hang on, let me stand up for this with my
Oh,
broke
Jesus
body.
Christ.
Hang on.
Oh,
We're gonna make this work.
no, almost.
Helly, is it good?
Darren Lee H. That's all I can see.
Helly, is it good? It hurts.
Oh, you're an idiot. See, me, I just have my name right here. Oh, it did the thing again.
It's a little too. I can see your pores.
Like I said, this thing is awesome. It's just that if I go to make a gesture of some kind and my hands in any way, shape, or form make some kind of like an L shape.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, cool defending me in the comments, bro. I read some.
Dude, here's the I don't pick the clips. Okay, AI picks the clips. And it picks like 25 of them. And then Missa goes through and she tries to find 7 different ones. Because a lot of times the clips are going to be something like, hey, this is about cheating. And then like 3 clips later, it picks the same conversation up, but like 45 seconds later, and it leaves out an intro and totally changes whatever it was.
Cool. Great chick response, but I said, thanks for defending me in the comments, bro. So I don't think AI does the comments.
Again. If you had split that whole conversation into 2 different categories and not say, if you die to cheaters, you should have to buy a new account, which is what everyone took that as.
Yeah. Well, okay. So to clarify, because I don't want to like.
Too late, man. You have been roasted, and 90% of those people will never see your rebuttal.
I'm not talking about that. Like, I'm not trying to beat the dead horse when I talk about it because, you know, I've said it so many times in several different platforms. It was sort of trying
hold on. 3, 2, 1. Okay, now we can start. I did the deadpan face to the camera after a countdown. Continue beating your dead horse. You're not frozen. Your Parkinson's is showing.
Okay. So with the whole hacking thing, I wasn't trying. Like, what I was trying to avoid was beating the dead horse of Warzone. But my theory to save Warzone was to compartmentalize it out, separate it out from the Call of Duty menu. People decide what they want to install on their consoles or PCs or whatever. Charge for it to deter hackers, and then bring back all the maps, not just big maps, but Rebirth as well, and do the rotations from that.
At this point, you are beating a dead horse because we've had this conversation. No, what I'm saying that you got roasted for is the whole, to deter hackers, every time you die, you should have to buy a new account. I mean, that's the takeaway.
Well, here's
the problem. There were people, and I mean, you've seen it on like Tim the Tapman or whatever, showing from the middle of the map, spin botting, taking out entire lobbies. Could you imagine dying to that and having to pay for another account? You want to rage quit after someone taking your head off in a 1v1. Could you imagine if you had to rebuy Warzone? You'd never play another game again.
In all fairness, like if the game was $1 and you were on the opposite side of that spectrum, the hacker itself, and you keep getting banned, you create a new email account to buy a new license and you go back to it, then by all means, waste your money on it, and more power to the gaming company that does that. That was
absolutely.
But
it
was taken the other way around where it's like, why am I going to pay for a game, multiple times if that's all they have is someone spin aimbotting like you say? I was thinking the other way where it's like, if a hacker wants to waste their money on so many license keys, then by all means.
The paid things don't discourage anything. Games like Tarkov that have a pretty high level of entry for a game. I mean, there's cheating in multiplayer. Call of Duty, which you had to buy the game for anyway. I mean, it again, lowering the price, it's going to do is do what I've already said, and that's incentivize gaming companies to create more cheats so they can ban people so they could rebuy the games. I am 100% sure that is what is happening in the industry.
Well, the other thing I got roasted about was it wasn't so much as a roast. It was it was actually a philosophical conversation. I was tiptoeing around the politics of things. And this dude just went like right up the gut and compared it to like vaccinations And I'm like, okay, dude, I'm not entertaining this. Like, I would love to have a political conversation with you, but that, like, this ain't my platform to do that. So
Here's the thing: if you want to comment as Darren Lehorn and have it out for that whole thing, by all means.
No,
I'm commenting back and forth. It depends on what medium I'm on. If I'm on a computer, I'm commenting as Gamer's Last Stand. If I'm on my phone, I'm commenting as Dr. Zeus. I'm hoping that at some point people understand that those are interchangeable type things, considering
brand identity, goes a long way in that respect, because you are basically two different identities. Once you put it out on the internet, it's permanent to one degree or another.
Absolutely.
So in that, whether you're talking a video or, a message in that regard, as Dr. Zeus, you couldn't give two flying stuff what you say as Dr. Zeus, because you assume all of that liability. Gamer's Last Stand may encompass more things than just you, even though you kind of own the brand. As Gamer's Last Stand, you want to take a different approach to conversations because you're representing a different identity than your own. And that's the ideology. So brand identity is a big thing, and I totally understand where you're separating how you speak as Gamer's Last Stand versus how you speak as Dr. Zeus. I totally get that. Me as Darren Lee Horn, I'm myself on there. When I'm commenting on my own ish, there's going to be less I care about because this is mine. I'm solely responsible for it. But when I'm commenting on something like Gamer's Last Stand, I know you avoid the political conversation. So if someone else wants to bring it up, have fun. I'm just going to not respond. So I
will let someone poke and I'll let them do their thing.
You can't control everybody.
I don't remove a lot of comments, but when I see someone spamming a comment like, go to this person because they helped me get my hacked account back, I'm like, no.
Get more
and here's the
thing,
I reported a person to TikTok and another one to YouTube, and both of them came back as, this person's doing nothing wrong. And I'm like, seriously? This is
don't get
all
me
right,
started
whatever.
on that, on the robots of TikTok and YouTube, because I already got my bone to pick with YouTube.
So speaking of speaking as yourself or somebody else, I recently got a picture from another Dr. Zeus on TikTok, but they spell it with one S. He's in apparently the 3D printing community, and it's dr.zuse.
Okay.
And he goes by some other name also. I forget what the hell it is now. There's also a DJ, Dr. Zeus, out there that spells it the proper way, Zeus. I think he's like Spanish.
Oh, the Greek
actually, like a DJ from Spain. Oh, and speaking of DJs and music,
okay,
K-pop Demon Hunter is back in the news yet again because they have been nominated for 5 Grammys.
Okay. I know we've been over the K-pop tangent, which... Again, I have, even as a musician, I have no knowledge of what in the blue hell that is. I get what the name stands for. Is it Korean pop music?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So they themselves are K-pop stars. They are Korean pop stars, like Korean pop idols.
Okay.
That is the whole thing. Basically what it is that they use their music to kind of like unite the world and to fight off this like demon horde. That's like the whole gist of the movie. All right.
Why does this sound like Queen of the Damned kind of nonsense?
Except that this was a good movie when Queen of the Damned was
a horrible movie. Queen of the Damned was horrible.
We're not getting into that.
I know.
There are 5 Grammy nominations. Best compilation soundtrack.
Okay.
And then Golden itself has been nominated for Song of the Year, Best Pop Duo / Group Performance, Best Song Written for Visual Media, and David Guetta's remix is Best Remix Recording.
Okay. Congrats to them.
Dude, it is so catchy. I started following a couple of the singers from it, like the voice actors for it. They're hilarious because their whole thing is like, yeah, we just kind of did this thing. We didn't expect anything of it. And as I brought it before, now they have like these 5-year-olds that they see singing this stuff as they're walking down the street. It's awesome
phenomenon.
It is. It is also Netflix's most streamed film of all time. It had this like sing-along special that it went into the box office for.
Okay.
And it is the #1 all-time domestic box office for a Netflix movie at 4.3 million. Not worldwide. Worldwide, it's 4th for Netflix box office.
What was it? What was its Rotten Tomato?
I mean, I can look it up for you if you want, but I'm pretty sure it's 95 plus.
Be curious.
I'll look it up.
I mean, I do like most of my metrics based off of Rotten Tomato, but not exactly. So it's like if it's in the I want to say if it's above 70% or below 60, Rotten Tomatoes probably right. And, you know, depending on how far in each deviation.
Tomato meter, it is 96%, and popcorn meter, it is 99%.
All right.
I actually think that it's an hour 39 minutes. It's on Netflix. Just watch the damn thing.
Amy's got me on Ozark right now. Like, we just finished the entire thing of Breaking Bad. So not just Breaking Bad, but El Camino and Better Call Saul. And then,
wasn't a fan of Better Call Saul after like season 3.
I liked
2 or 3.
I like Better Call Saul in some ways better than Breaking Bad because, you know, Better Call Saul reminded me a little bit of like My Cousin Vinny, but less on sort of the slap happy humor. Because like Joe Pesci was kind of out of his element in My Cousin Vinny. Great movie. But he was kind of like out of his element because you're used to seeing him as like Goodfellas or Casino, et cetera, et cetera.
Saul just has such a punchable face.
He does.
Anyway, before we get off the whole thing, apparently several trade news sources reported that Netflix and Sony are aiming to release a sequel to K-pop Demon Hunters in 2029.
All right, more power to them. I know nothing about it. I care to not know anything about it. If someone,
this is literally you going la la la, I can't hear this, and putting yourself under a rock. Like, well, no, you gotta let me. You're going out of your way to not know what this is.
If someone were to bring the song to my attention to judge, I'd absolutely give my 2 cents on it. But at the same time, am I going to go out of my way to listen to it? No. So
it's everywhere. I guarantee you have heard at least Golden, if not Soda Pop.
I will take that challenge because I guarantee you I
100% you've heard it.
I guarantee you I haven't.
Speaking of sequels or sextuls, sixth iteration of something? What? Sequel, trequel, quadrille. Are these words? I don't think these are words.
Describe the scenario and maybe I'll figure out the word for it.
Well, whatever the word is, we will find that word and it will come out before GTA 6.
What do you mean? Like, is it taking place before Vice City?
Do you not know anything about GTA 6 either?
No. All I know is it's Grand Theft Auto. So
okay. we're gonna
don't know how to help you with this, dude.
So GTA 6 is such a big game. And it is so widely anticipated that other gaming studios have been postponing their launch of games because they do not want to launch anywhere near GTA 6. It is such a big thing and is so anticipated that the delay of GTA 6 may affect when next-gen consoles come out.
Interesting. I heard a lot of buzz about GTA 6, and I don't think I've played a GTA since, I want to say Vice City, and I don't even know if I'd count Vice City because I probably played that for like maybe an hour out of my entire life.
No, I had 100% completion in Vice City on the PS2. GTA 6 has another delay, so it has been delayed. God, I want to say 10 times now, maybe something around there. The original launch date for this, I believe, was something in 2022.
GTA 6 is like something I want the team to get on board with too. Which one started the multiplayer?
GTA 5 was gigantic as far as the whole RP goes and everything else. Yeah, GTA 6 is another delay from March of next year to now November 19th of 2026. So it has gone from, again, something in 2022 to now being delayed until 2026.
I wonder why. There's been a lot of buzz about that game.
They keep saying that that's not ready in production or whatever. It might have to do with the fact that at the end of October, Rockfar fired 30 employees tied to the developer union. Rockstar alleged the firings were due to leaks of confidential information, and they were completely unrelated to union activity.
Okay, yeah, they're gonna have to clarify the reasoning behind it then, because I would argue those are two very different subjects of discussion.
What I do know is the union leaders are saying that GTA 6 devs weren't leaking secrets; they were just talking about work conditions on private discords. So here it is again.
That's a breach.
People talking about this stuff in private discords, but they said they should be legally protected to do that.
No. I believe NDAs are one method. Like any W-2 job, whatever, you're signing the documents, to jump on board with the team. One of those statements is, I agree to all contents of the employee handbook. That is a golden standard to outline all of the legalities of the employment without having that individual having to sign each and every one of them. You just use one signature for all. if one of those requirements is you will not discuss work contents outside of work with non-work employees, blah, 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 then it doesn't matter what medium you discussed it in. It doesn't matter if you discussed it in person to some passerby. And that passerby can, raise a flag saying, hey, this person told me blah, blah, blah. And they're going to be in the same boat. That's how that works. If they did that in private discords and someone decided to snitch on them, that's on them.
They've got a lawsuit on their hands. That does bring up a whole thing of, if it is nothing but employees talking to one another in this private discord, maybe they have something that the union leader can kind of go on if it is just employees, even though it's not really regulated. But at the same time, with all of the hacks and breaches going on with, your major companies anyway, yeah, I just don't understand that without talking to a person one-on-one in a completely sealed off room from the world, how do you control any of the information?
So in terms in terms of civil court, you have what's called the proximate cause of damage. If you have two employees that are talking to each other within a controlled environment of the workplace, then that's within the controlled environment of the workplace. If information gets out of there, the liability falls on the workplace ultimately, or whoever was responsible for controlling that. If the workplace is going to employ a medium like Discord, no different than GroupMe, no different than a group iPhone conversation, whatever the case.
Don't get me started on iPhone. Your video you sent me was such trash.
Okay, a group Android conversation, which, by the way, you need to get on. You need to get on the what is it? The RLS security.
You're gonna have to tell me what the hell that is. I have no idea what that is.
Okay, mental bookmark on that, because you probably haven't done it yet, which is why videos sent to you look like trash, and videos you send me look like trash because you're not on the same encrypted bandwagon as Android that does use it and iPhone that uses it inherently.
So iPhone, we are going straight into this.
Well, hang on, let me finish this, because even an Android group conversation could be the same damn thing. If you are in a controlled environment within the workplace, then it's up to those who control the environment to make sure nothing leaks out. If two employees are outside of the workplace, then that creates a new dynamic. And I would argue that it would depend on, number one, the level of detail that they were talking about, the sensitivity of the data they were talking about, and whether or not they were careful enough in a public environment to make sure no passerby heard it. And if someone happened to hear it, if they took all precautions necessary, then that would probably minimize the damage, minimize the liability. iPhone, go for it, because I know you're going to spend a century on that.
It's not a century. It's just the fact that the reason that the photos come so blurry is that, first off, Apple is still using like 3 or 4 gen old technology when it sends only to Android, not when it goes from Apple to Apple. So they've made a conscious effort to make sure that the pictures coming into or out of look bad from one user to the other, from an Apple to an Android. And I know this because I can send you the identical picture on Facebook, or I can send it to you on Instagram or in Discord, and my picture looks phenomenal. But if it gets sent to you in text, all of a sudden it is depressed and disorganized. Did I say depressed? I guess it is depressed. It does look very depressing.
Distorted, I think, is the word you were looking for.
No, depressed. It looks, dude, I couldn't even understand what you sent me. It was underwater. It was so bad.
I know. And I've dealt with this before when I was on Android. It was the same damn thing. Literally anybody I knew that sent me something would come out blurry, distorted, whatever. Nobody sent me anything. So
wait. Now that you're with Amy, are you coming back to the light side? Or are you staying over there?
Number one, I already said, even before Amy, that I'd be back on Android. And number two...
Hasn't happened yet. I have proof.
Yeah, because I have to pay this one off yet. I'm not going to buy a new phone when I still owe money on this one.
Oh, yeah, I just buy phones outright.
That's what I do, too.
But you just said you haven't paid this one off yet.
Okay, just because I pay for it out of pocket in one def move versus over 20 months, it's the same damn difference.
So, it's not, because I can... When you do that with your phone... all of a sudden you don't really, especially when you do it with newer phones, you're not put into a new contract every time you want to get a new phone.
Correct. It's the
so
same.
like I haven't been I haven't been in contract with, because I have Verizon.
Mhm.
I got my whole thing with Verizon back in, I think, 2003.
Yep.
All right.
Same.
I have not had any kind of a contract with them, and I can cancel it any time whatsoever since like 2006.
Okay. Let me know when you're done, because you're forgetting one thing that I do all the time, and that's instead
Go
of
for
going
it.
through Verizon, I go through Best Buy, and I put it on theirs because it's 0 interest. Done.
Or just paid off, and it's 0 interest.
Okay, then yeah, and I've done that before too. Just buy a phone
You have
instantly.
to, remember, I don't own a credit card.
Okay.
So I was raised, and this was very old school thinking. But if you don't have the money for it, you shouldn't be buying it.
100%.
Now I understand that a lot of these things have like, oh, you can get like 2% cash back, or you can get this, or you can get that. Cool, but I'm just swiping a card anyway. Why do I need to swipe one card to pay off another card so that I can swipe the second card so that I can get $3.50 back at the end of the month?
You have two different schools of thought there, because number one, you're 100% right. You know, out of $100 to spend, you have $100 to spend, not $1,000 on credit that you could spend. The other, though, is if you get the cashback percentage no matter what, regardless of the length of time, if you charge $100 and let it go a day and then pay off the $100 and you still get the $2 cash back, then that's kind of brilliant. Again, to each their own. I'm not one to say how someone should manage their finances, with the exception of those that ask me their opinions of it.
No, yeah, I'm not asking.
No, and you have no reason to. So we were talking about what company was it? Rockstar. They're dealing with employees, you know.
Well, it's 30 people from a developer union. That's the problem.
So
is saying that
they are from a union.
Yes.
Okay.
But Rockstar is saying that the firing were due to leaks, not any completely unrelated to any union activity.
Okay.
And because of that, they aren't protected by the union because they're breaking workplace code, not, which is totally outside of all the union crap.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, if you walk up and punch your boss in the face, the union's not gonna be like, "Ha, you can't fire him," even though that's assault.
Right. When it comes to leak, I'm guessing the 30 employees are in a class action against Rockstar.
Doesn't say anything about it. All I'm saying is I'm going to do the same thing here that I have done for probably the past year and a half. Anytime the word leak comes out, I'm using air quotes.
Okay.
Because there is no such thing as a leak anymore. Because all of these leaks, and again, air quotes, all it is just free publicity because people are like, oh my God, it's a leak. Let's just throw this everywhere because we want to be the first people to break the news that we heard from somebody else. I have a lot more about leaks also, coming up.
I don't think I'm for or against you on the definition of leak, because by its very definition, yes, people inside the workplace are going to know before the public does. The word leak comes in is when the public finds out about it. That's its literal definition. I know you might sort of gawk at that, or you're like, no, I'm going to use quotes.
No. The reason I'm using quotes is that, yes, it's when the public finds out when they're not supposed to from someone that has information that wasn't supposed to be out there. The reason I use air quotes is that I just think it's free marketing to all of these people and that it pushes these types of things. Like, you do know what Halo is, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we know what Halo. Here's the thing: that you didn't know what GTA 6 is. You don't know what K-pop Demon Hunters is. I have to make sure that you understand what Halo is.
Okay, you need to work on clarifying your question, because you had a completely different subject of discussion that brought in GTA 6. I know what GTA 6 is. I've been waiting for it for the past year, and it's a game I've wanted to get the team on. But you asked a question. I can't remember what the conversation was about. Literally, 20 minutes ago.
No. The whole conversation is what do you call the 6th iteration if it's not a sequel?
Oh, that was the question. And I'm like, okay, what does GTA 6 have to do with this? Like, are you talking about the story? Is it coming after everything? Because that would be a sequel.
It's literally the 6th iteration. It is the 6th game. It is the 6th.
Okay. It's just a sequel, man.
In any case,
I know what
Halo.
I know what GTA is. I know what Halo is.
We're going to start down here at the bottom of this stuff because apparently there's a rumor that Halo 2 and Halo 3 are going to get a remake after Halo Campaign Evolved.
Okay.
Do you know what Halo Campaign Evolved is?
I've never heard of it. I just know what Halo is. So,
all right. Well, from a, and this was literally in quotes on the site, from a noteworthy leaker. They're called Halo Leaks on Twitter. That's their Twitter handle.
All right.
That after Halo Campaign Evolve releases, that they are going to remake, not remaster, but remake Halo 2 and Halo 3. Just like Campaign Evolve, though, there will not be any multiplayer.
Okay.
As far as like multiplayer PvP. So that was a big thing. Halo Campaign Evolved is supposed to release sometime in 2026. The campaign, like I said, only, no multiplayer, but you do get to sprint now. So cool. You get rid of Jeff Sticer in order to move slightly faster on foot.
That's like being able to slide cancel in GoldenEye.
Could you imagine Odd Job slide canceling in GoldenEye?
Dude, that would be the most rough multiplayer you would ever play.
I love that you brought that up. Let me finish the stuff in Halo because I've got GoldenEye news for you as well.
All right.
I don't know if you read that or not, but there is GoldenEye news also.
I briefly saw it.
There's also going to be an original story. There's going to be a prequel missions that will tell an original story that is something from somewhere else in the Halo canon. So it's a completely new story, and it's going to be the prequel to the original Halo campaign.
I never played. The only time I ever played Halo was a friend's birthday. This must have been like 5 years ago. And he wanted to do an old school Xbox LAN party, and where we just played Halo. And I'm like, I've never played it, but hey, man, it's your day. Let's do it. So we ordered pizza. We had beers.
Hold on. So you didn't play Halo until you were in your late 30s?
Pretty much.
That was a game that kind of like defined our generation. You didn't own an Xbox, did you?
No, I never owned an Xbox.
Was it always PlayStation?
Always PlayStation, always Nintendo.
So
let me
will
always
like
Nintendo, PlayStation, or PC. Should say that.
All right, but what you will like is that all of these games are actually set to also release on PlayStation. So that is the huge thing, is that Halo will now be on PS.
Interesting. That, from a business perspective, I'm cool with it, but at the same time, I don't know if I want to be, because to some respect, like Nintendo's Nintendo, they're always going to be the oddball out. But when it came to PlayStation and Xbox, I don't know of enough franchise games, maybe other than Halo, that were unique to a specific console. But at the same time, PlayStation, in my opinion, has always had the better hardware. So every console sort of had its own advantage in the market. And now if Halo is crossing over to the dark side, to PlayStation, what would that do to the market? Because it would ultimately not matter what console you were on between the two. And I did hear that Steam is trying to roll out their own console, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, are you talking about the Stream Deck?
Not the Stream Deck, because the Stream Deck I think is handheld.
Or the Steam Deck, I mean.
Maybe, because I know they had a handheld version of it. That's legitimately on the market. I heard a rumor that they're trying to get into the console market. And at face value, kind of a cool idea, for them to carve out their own little space in the market. But you're almost like competing against yourself with all the different games that are out there on the same freaking console.
So I just looked up some IPs that you may have heard of that are Xbox exclusives.
Okay.
Have you heard of a little game called Gears of War?
Yeah.
Or Forza?
No.
You've never heard of Forza?
No.
Wow. And so then
you're one for
there's
one.
Also, there's also the fact that it is Microsoft, so you have to go with the Microsoft exclusives as well.
Fair.
So you also end up with a small thing called Doom.
Oh, yeah.
You might have heard of?
Well, no,
or
isn't that
Fallout?
weren't they owned by id Software?
I'm reading straight off the thing. Other significant IPs are Fable, State of Decay, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and Age of Empires. Through acquisitions, Microsoft also owned major series such as The Elder Scrolls, Fallout, and Doom.
Okay, so as far as an acquisition is concerned, I don't know if that necessarily counts, because id Software has always owned the rights to Doom, and they're cross-plat. What was the other ones you threw? Age of Empires. Age of Empires, I know, is Microsoft owned, and what's hilarious is I'm now seeing that on the PlayStation Store. Again, right. That goes back to my point. It's like, what's the point in one console versus the other if they're available on all consoles? I'm
pretty sure we've already talked about this. I think we talked about this a few weeks ago.
Maybe.
That I don't see a point of having exclusive anymore, because it's not exclusive. It is Xbox and PC. It is Xbox. It is PlayStation and PC. It is Nintendo and PC. It is not exclusive anymore. Any game that is out there, it's just like they're like, well, when GTA 6 comes out, you're not going to get it on PC for, however many, months or whatever it is. And it's just like, there will be jailbroken and downloadable things as like the second that game, even before the actual release date, someone is going to get a hold of that, and that is going to be somewhere where you can play it on PC. I guarantee you, that's how this whole thing works.
You got to remove the unintended efforts, right? Because yes, you're 100% correct. There's always going to be people when there's a will, there's a way, and as long as they have time, which clearly some of them have plenty of it, they're going to figure out a way to get it from PlayStation to the PC, right? Kind of like how you're talking about, or Nintendo to the PC. They're going to figure out a way, but that's the unintended purpose. You can't bring that into the equation and at the same time, if they do manage to get it on PC and release it to the market, which is illegal.
Is it illegal if you don't make money off of it? If you just have a PC port?
It is illegal outright. And the reason why is you are potentially damaging a company from receiving proper revenue. That's what it comes down to.
I just said, if you are not making any money off of it.
Okay. If one person creates an emulation that belongs to somebody else and they give it to those 10 people, then that person can be sued on the basis that those 10 people would have bought it on that console. And trust me, that's a slam dunk court case every time.
There have been a lot of cases like that, though, and they've lost a lot of those cases. We can go and we can make this entire thing about case law if we want to talk about like video game case law, because the video games as a whole have been losing repeatedly for all of these things unless the person was making money off of it. Nintendo just lost their thing with Power World, as we talked about.
Okay. Then
the only one that they did win was the one where this dude was like making money off of distributing it out there and showing leaked things.
Okay, so you as the individual, if you rip it from console to PC, as long as you do not share it, you're technically not liable because you own the license. You can do whatever the hell you want with it as long as it doesn't leave your property or as long as you don't give it to another person. Now, when you start giving it to another person, in the eyes of big game manufacturers, even if you gave it to like 10 people, they're probably not going to give it a shit. And the reason why is you're just, your breadcrumbs compared to what's out there. But if you are the single source to say 100,000 people getting a copy, an illegal copy of the game, 100% you could be held liable. And that has actually happened in the past. Number one, Napster would still be in business if that weren't true. All right.
I'm going to argue that because Napster itself was making money off of it, which is what they went after. Okay. They tried going after the individuals, and the individuals were never held liable because they were not making money. And if they did take money off of it, then yes, they could be held liable.
You're right.
But if I let you borrow a movie or something like that, it still is not they're not going to come after me. I could let that same movie get borrowed to every person in the state of Ohio. You're not going to get me for distribution because I've not made any money off of it. I have shared my ownership of something with other people.
Okay. You were right. Napster was at some point making money off of it, which is, I would say in part why it is they went down. But the real reason why they went down is they were aggregating a situation in which those who have or should have at least enjoyed the fruits of their labor were being robbed of such because people were giving it for free everywhere else. That's it. At the end of the day, number one, from an economics perspective, nobody would ever be in business if people just ripped it and gave it for free. Number two, those that do that, it's kind of like robbing from the rich to give to the poor. At the end of the day, you still committed a crime, robbery. So fundamentally, the court's not going to see it in a very specific sense where, well, this person didn't make money off of it, so they shouldn't be liable. No, dipshit. If you gave it to 1 million people, you are the causation for a company not receiving $1 million, if it's $1 per, $1 million in revenue, or for what they could have earned on the basis of the fact that you gave it out for free.
You need to watch the South Park episode about this.
South Park's not...
They did an amazing episode. I forget who it was, but it was one of their kids. It's like, yeah, and now he's going to have to wait till next week to have his brand new car and mansion because you downloaded something off of Napster. I understand that you love Metallica and that like Lars is... You are defending Metallica and Lars and all of their crap because they were the reason Napster went down.
I applaud Metallica, but Lars shouldn't have been the one to do it. At the same token, what was it? Scarlett Johansson sued Marvel for Black Widow. I agree with it on principle. She should not have been the one to do it.
No idea what that lawsuit was.
Yeah. I think it was the release of Black Widow during COVID as opposed to theaters, something like that.
Oh no, a company decided when they wanted to release something.
Yep.
Whatever. That's just stupid. Going back to what you were talking about for GoldenEye.
Oh yeah.
And Odd Job and slide canceling. Have you ever wondered what GoldenEye would look like in 4K?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, it was probably a year ago. I think I saw GoldenEye being added to the N64 catalog for the Switch. And I tried playing it on controller. I'm saying you cannot play it on the Switch controller. You need the N64 controller for that.
There is a device. All right. It has been pushed back several times. It is called the Analogue 64. I know I've brought it up with you before.
Yeah, I remember.
But the Analogue 64 uses original N64 cartridges and then through processing is able to display it in 4K. They are finally shipping on November 18th.
That's a cool technology. You know, take the old school 3D games. I would love to see Wave Race in that.
Yes. So originally it was called the Analogue 3D, and it was supposed to be released October of 2023. Oh, sorry, it was announced October 23. It was supposed to be released in 2024. And it has been delayed for, again, more than a year and a half. I've been talking about this thing for a while because I've got an N64 and some games behind me. The price tag on it is $250. And as of right now, it is sold out. And they even put in quote, sold out for now. I don't know what that means. I don't know if the for now means that they are going to do more of them, or
Probably.
if the person that's doing this article doesn't believe that it's going to live up to the expectations. I'm not sure where the author of this article was going with their portion of it.
I think the ellipsis for now was unnecessary.
So it is funny to me that it is selling for lower even in current day, even if it dollar for dollar, zero inflation involved, that this thing for 4K is selling for cheaper than an original N64. Because I believe the original N64 was $299.
It was something like that. Oh, what's hilarious?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm sorry. What's hilarious you bring that up is, you know how sometimes you'll see like flashback things on Facebook or Instagram, like here's what it was like back in the day. There was one that I saw that came up for N64 games and Super Nintendo games, and they were all in the 60s. So it tripped me out. And I'm like, wait a minute. Inflation doesn't exist because games still cost $60 today.
I was wrong, by the way. Originally it was supposed to be priced at $250, but it was launched at $200. And the reason they did that is they wanted to be the original N64.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember.
But they wanted to be competitive with Sega Saturn and PlayStation. So that's why they lowered the price. Whatever. It was I think it was the last time that Nintendo was actually competitive with what they were doing was the N64.
Okay, I'm trying to not say that arrogantly for Nintendo because number one, did they need to compete with Sega? No, they had enough IP, you know, for their own franchise, for their own console as it was. But not at that point. The fact that you needed expansion packs in order to play specific games because the cartridges didn't hold enough memory. No, they 100% had to get with the times and move to disc. I was actually I talked to Mark about this a couple weeks ago that Final Fantasy was supposed to be a Nintendo exclusive, but they would have to, I think it said something like 14 cartridges in order to play the full game. That took like 2 or 3 discs for Final Fantasy VII. I wasn't referring to the mechanism of cartridge. I was saying they had their own IP. They had their own franchise games. They didn't need to compete with anybody else. They would have been fine. But at the same time, they didn't need to compete with Sega Saturn because it was Sega Saturn. That was a flop of a system.
It wasn't a flop. It just got outperformed by PlayStation. Again, I can look up numbers and show them to you. As far as a flop goes, if you want to talk about flops, Dreamcast was a flop. Saturn was not.
Yeah, you're right. The Dreamcast.
All right, GameCube, I'm sorry, as far as Nintendo goes, was a flop.
I would argue that's probably their least noteworthy system.
No, there was the Sega 32 and there was Sega CD. Those were also horrible flops. Those are the ones you had to plug into the side of the Genesis to don't get me wrong, it was great, and I just think that Sega CD was just way ahead of its time, and
Yeah.
if something like that would have come out later on. Like if you could have plugged into your N64 a thing that would have allowed you, like where that little the expansion slot is, if you could have plugged in something to play, disc games instead of coming out with the GameCube, if you just had this little thing you plugged in to put GameCube games in, it probably would have done great.
I mean, at the end of the day, it was all about storage capacity, and whether you want to talk arrogance or lack of knowledge, I think at the end of the day, it's just, the technology that they had at the time. And I think you're right about Sega CD too, because Sega CD, that was what all the other consoles wound up going to. I don't think the market was ready for it, and the technology just simply wasn't there.
Correct. 100%. I think that if Sega CD had come out instead of Saturn, I think that if they just waited a little bit longer on that, I think it would have been great. I do want to kind of bring everything down a little bit because there is a little bit of sad news in the Nintendo world, not necessarily Nintendo, but Mario.
Yeah.
Kazuki Motoyama. He is the creator of the Super Mario manga.
Okay.
And he passed away at the nice age of 69, which honestly, for today's standards, is really young.
Yeah, I was
But the news was revealed by his sister Lisa on social media. She did not disclose the cause of death, but expressed her gratitude to everyone who cared for her brother throughout his life.
It is the biggest franchise in history. So, yeah, it's noteworthy. Well, it's a Debbie Downer noteworthy subject of discussion, but
we'll bring it back up a little bit and talk about some Arc Raiders.
Way to yo-yo that one.
Look, man, I don't pick the segues, all right? Conversation dictates where I go in this list, all right? We're talking about the downfall of Nintendo, so I'm like, hey, this is probably why one of the greats passed away.
I never said the downfall of Nintendo, but whatever.
Oh, you don't have to. Nintendo has been on this, decline for years. Like, every once in a while, they'll have, this little pop of interest or whatever it is, but eventually it just ends up declining again.
You got to remember, though, the Nintendo Entertainment System was never in any capacity meant to be what something like PlayStation is today or what PC is today. They have stood by, to this day, what it is they have always been, and that is a family entertainment system. Granted, they do allow, titles like Mortal Kombat or Doom or whatever, which I would argue, I would probably say MK2 probably started all that for them. But nevertheless, they're all about Switch Sports or Mario Kart or, some of the family fun group activities. That's what they're for.
They created a game where an adolescent goes out, captures wild animals, and forces them to fight to the death or whiteout. And you're going to call this family friendly.
Wait, what game is this?
Pokemon.
So they created Pokemon?
That was the Nintendo Game Boy. That's where the whole thing launched from.
Okay, so
blue, green,
Nintendo owns Pokemon.
Red. Yes.
Oh, I was not aware of that. So I thought Pokemon was its own thing, like a card thing separate from video games.
Wait. You thought the card games were first?
I think so. Yeah, I thought Pokemon existed long before the Nintendo did.
Pokemon Company, parent organizations, Creature Inc., Nintendo, and Game Freak.
Okay, were they acquired by Nintendo or?
No. In short,
okay.
the same three companies have been using underneath Pokemon Media. They will all within a 33% split.
Okay, I was not aware of that. I always thought, Pokemon, kind of like Magic the Gathering, was like its own separate thing.
Pokemon cards came out October 1996.
Wow.
Pokemon games Red and Green were released in February 27, 1996 for the Game Boy. That was in Japan. Red and Blue for the Game Boy were later released in America in 1998.
Interesting. I had always thought that they existed well before the Nintendo. So more power to
Pokemon? No. No, Pokemon actually took a bunch of, and that's the reason that they lost their lawsuit, is that they took game mechanics from other games, popularized them, and then just kind of had the backing of money with their lawyers to try to force Pocket Pal or Pal World, whatever you want to call it, into submission with what their things is. They actually, again, they got overturned on their whole thing about being able to capture a creature in a ball or a device of some kind, because, and they actually lost it on their own thing because they're like, there were other games that you didn't go after, to include Pokemon Go. Like, Nintendo, you're not going after Pokemon Go. I understand it's still the same franchise, but they're using the same mechanics. Why didn't you go after them? And so there were a bunch of other things that they brought up as well, because they were saying the health meters and whatever else. I'm like, how are you going to... There's only one thing that's out there right now as far as lawsuits and as far as patents go for video games that's standing the test of time, and that's the Nemesis system. The Nemesis system is amazing, and I really hope that it does get let out into other games. Are you familiar what the system is?
Nope, never even heard of
So
it.
the Nemesis system is that basically as you go through this game, one of the games that used it was like Shadows of Mordor. It's a Lord of the Rings game. You go through and you attack this like orc general. Let's say that you fail to kill this general, right? He will remember you from that point forward and mark you as a nemesis, and he will become stronger and get more things to combat you later on.
Oh, that's cool.
It's an awesome system. I hope that they get more into those types of things. But again, as far as like new games and stuff like that goes, Arc Raiders doing great. God, I picked it up probably like 5 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's the new extraction shooter. People are enjoying it. They're having issues with it. Shroud thinks that it needs to be game of the year, but Shroud hasn't had a relevant opinion in probably a decade at this point. So you don't even know who Shroud is.
Nope.
I need to start talking to you like you're my grandmother.
Okay. Like I've seen Arc Raiders, hearing about. I watch it for like maybe a few seconds. Again, I know what it is. I don't know any details behind it.
Arc Raiders, again, it came out a couple weeks ago, is a third-person extraction shooter, PvE PvP, or PvEVP. However you... The best way I can describe it is that Al Mazrah thing. What the hell was that horrible ripoff of Tarkov called?
Oh, DMZ?
It was Al Mazrah where...
DMZ.
Yeah, that. So DMZ is a perfect example of PvEVP. Player versus environment versus players. So you have multiple players that are on the map that are against each other, but there's also the environment itself you have to worry about.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
You following me so far?
Yeah.
Picking up what I'm putting down? Cool.
Yeah.
In this thing, there are these things called arcs. There are robots, which all of them are very different from one another. They have different weak points. They have different amounts of health. This is supposed to be the Tarkov killer. Tarkov, again, comes out when this podcast comes out. It'll come out on Saturday as a full launch. I'm looking forward to it, even though I'm going to wait a week or two because every time they do something new, it just breaks. Like BSG is just has this horrible string of when they try something new, it breaks.
Tarkov's got very little excuse if they've been around in a beta for this long.
Their big thing, and I know 100% right now they're going to blame it on, is Steam, because they have never been available on Steam before. They are also completely redoing the game as a whole when 1.0 comes out. The game that we have been playing this whole time is not supposed to be the Tarkov that releases on Saturday. The bones of the game are there, but it is supposed to be a completely different game.
Okay.
If you'd played it before, you would have understood that the differences that I listed last week. There is a lot that's going into it. As far as Arc Raiders, I'm going to give kudos where kudos are deserved. They listened to the player feedback, and their quote is, "We reviewed our prices and made adjustments so lower prices were applicable." And the revised prices actually went live today. And this is for skins, cosmetics, anything that you can buy in the shop. They are not going to make anything a pay to win. It is going to be a pay for convenience or a pay for cosmetics. That's it.
All right.
And before you ask, because I know this is always the next thing that comes up, in quote, "For any raider who's already made a purchase on the old pricing, we'll compensate you for the difference. These Raider tokens will be refunded back to your account automatically in the coming week."
Okay.
Games don't do that anymore. So you know what? A+, because that's...
I was going to say, I'm like, what argument is there? I mean, that's just logical. If you bought...
But it's not logical, because everybody else that's done this, Lost Ark did this, Tarkov itself did this. They make these outrageous prices for things, get, feedback or backlash from the community, then lower their prices, but the whales have already bought the stuff and they're just out the money.
Logic is based off of the action in on itself, not the standard to which everybody else jumps to. If everybody else wants to, rip off its player base, that's their choice. That doesn't make it logical, even though everybody's doing the same thing. But again, yeah, kudos to Arc Raiders for being different.
One of the other things is that also as of today, so this is November 13th, the first major update happened, which there's a new region north of the Rust Belt called Stella Montis. It's described as cold, pristine, and filled with the remnant of humanity's lost ambitions. I haven't played it yet today because I prepped for this thing, so I'm kind of looking forward to it because that's
a
really cool and like vivid description of an area.
That's epic storytelling, just in the
right.
preview.
And literally, I quoted it from this thing, and that's all they gave for it. One of the other things that they were doing is that again they were listening to the player base, and they've been silently testing the duo matchmaking. So they only had solos and trios. Okay. So they are still going to prioritize solo and trios first. Then they will prioritize duos. It's not perfect. You might end up getting a solo in your duo match. You might end up getting a trio in your duos. But they're trying to make it to where it is only a duos thing. You don't actually go to a window and log in to, do you want solo or whatever. You just have your group of people and hit play.
I think, that must be something new in terms of like a test mechanic, because even BF6 RedSec is doing the same thing, where it's like you only have duos and quads, not solos and trios. COD did this for a while, but I think it was more so based off of like maps and modes.
So here's the thing. You don't actually queue up for solos or trios. You just literally have a group. It's either yourself and you just hit play, or you have a group of 3 and you hit play.
Okay.
That's it. If you have 2 people, you just hit play. And that's the whole thing. So before you had 2 people, you hit play, you were going into a bunch of trio matches. That's just how it worked out. It had squad play, it had solo play. That was it.
Gotcha.
They're now doing this. It's awesome. They've sold over 4 million copies in just 2 weeks.
That's good.
They reached, and this is something I love Arc Raiders for. How many games will give you the concurrent players across all platforms?
In terms of like active players?
Active concurrent people logged in to their servers all at one time.
No.
Concurrent players. They reached 700,000 players across all platforms.
Okay.
And the reason that I find this so big is we can't get these numbers from COD. We can't get these numbers from Battlefield. We can't get these numbers from anyone out there if we want to know how many people are playing their game. We have to use Steam analytics and then just kind of like fill in pieces, be like, oh, well, they had 75,000 people, but that's 55% of the player base. And you're just kind of like guessing.
Yeah, because I think BF6 had, 250,000 players, but that was at launch. I don't think they've
three quarters of a million people, and that was only on Steam.
Oh, did I say 250,000? My bad. Yeah, they had 750,000 when I first jumped into it. That was the number, but when I was in queue,
right? But that was only Steam numbers that we could see that do the analytic. It's not counting PlayStation. It's not counting Xbox. It's not counting whatever other system is out there.
So this is where I'm confused. If I see I'm in queue and the queue number is 750,000, does that mean there's 750,000 people waiting to play?
Correct.
Okay. Does that mean it's 750,000 people playing at the moment?
No, because if you log in right now and you have no queue, does that mean that 0 people are playing?
Okay. Does
that make sense?
Well, the reason why I ask is I play it on PlayStation, so I'm like, what does Steam have to do anything with what I'm looking at? So
it depends on their servers. And if they are playing, cross-platform, then yes, the Steam numbers are very much relevant to how many people are on there. So again, the only numbers we had for Battlefield was that it was 750,000 people that were on Steam. 55% of the player base was on Steam. We have to fill in that the other 45% was on console. So we can kind of just double the number and take a little bit away. So we're talking 1.3 million people-ish. And again, we're guessing. They're not giving actual numbers. Again, I'm giving kudos where kudos are deserved.
No, yeah, that's completely fair. I mean, I've seen Arc Raiders jump in popularity. Even Weapon is playing it. It
is a good game. I do think that you would have some fun with it. It is not the overpriced game that everything else is. It's $40 right now. I do think that a person that jumps into it and actually does play it, if you get past the initial learning curve of the game itself, I can't see a person putting in less than 100 hours into this game. There is a wipe system where if you do this quest line at the end of their 8-week cycle, you can reset your account, but you gain cosmetics and you gain additional skill points. So there is a positive to resetting your account. But again,
Gotcha.
you reset to 0. And you have to complete a quest line every 8 weeks in order to do so.
Gotcha.
I
One
think
last
that's
one last tangent before I actually have to go because Amy and I are going out of town for the weekend. On the subject of Call of Duty, is it true that they're coming out with a live action or they're developing it?
I have not heard this.
Wait, like Peter Berg is near deal with Paramount?
A live-action Call of Duty movie is officially in development at Paramount following a deal with Activision. The film is still in its early stages with no director, cast, or release date announced. Taylor Sheridan is attached to co-write the script, though he is not directing, and the project is expected to draw inspiration from the franchise's action and narrative style, potentially like the Modern Warfare series.
Okay. I don't know. So I have the same...
By the way, apparently this news broke in September.
I have the same worry about, like, I'm not as... I love the Modern Warfare story. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite stories. I'm going to compare this to Zelda a little bit. I'm more protective of Zelda than I am Modern Warfare, and I know they're making a Zelda movie, which pisses me off. With Modern Warfare, I think you almost run into the same problem that you do with Zelda because there's so many different dynamics going on within the game that it's easier as a game in terms of storytelling to bounce from like one location to another. You can explain things as they go along. In a movie, I don't know if that's as easily done.
I completely disagree because the campaigns in all of these first-person shooters are linear.
Okay, not my point. In Modern Warfare 2, you bounce around between Al Mazrah, Urzikstan. I think in one episode you might go into Verdansk. Another one you're going to, I believe, an urban building in Chicago. I mean, there's a whole slew of places, but they sort of bounce around. Similarly to, I would say, Captain America 3, Civil War. They're bouncing around different places. But with that movie, it was very easy to do the storytelling because you could do it slowly, even though you're bouncing from location to location. I don't know if you can do that with a Call of Duty movie.
Oh, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the great TV shows, now granted, I'm saying TV shows at this point, Game of Thrones is a perfect example of bouncing from location to location and keeping a very cohesive story throughout the entire show. Now, there's a lot of stuff that could have been cut out of that. You could have turned that entire series into like a 3.5, 4-hour movie. You cut a lot of the fluff. You know, I don't know how many times Ingrid says, you know, nothing Jon Snow. You cut it down to like 1 or 2. Cool. There's just a lot of stuff that you can leave out of those whole things for adaptations. I don't see an issue here when the game itself, playing it to 100% completion is like, what, 16 hours? And that's with some exploring or whatever as far as like actual storyline goes. Turning 16 hours of gameplay into a 2.5, 3.5 hour movie, I don't see any issues with it.
Okay, so Game of Thrones might be a bad example only because I would say a TV show in general might be a bad example because you have the luxury as a TV show of creating all these stories as you need to, provided you're having the viewership that, you know, the network's going to allow you to continue making seasons. Assuming that's not a problem, you have the luxury of bouncing from one location to tell this story and then the next episode bouncing to this location to tell this episode and then maybe use an episode to blur the two together. You have that freedom. You don't have the constraint of a 2-3 hour, you know, movie. Again,
I'm going to end it on this then because we may agree to disagree.
That's fair.
The Hobbit, which was like a 150-page book, was turned into a 3-movie series.
Yes, completely unnecessary. They could have done that in one film.
So, and if you're only taking the most recent one, because if you take one of the earlier Modern Warfares, if you're taking something with like, you know, Baby Price, I'm going to call him Baby Price at this point, because dude's got to, if you go into canon, the guy has got to be, even if he's only 50 something, his body is 140. Like he is so incredibly beat up by the latest one.
He was technically in one of the earlier Call of Duty games. It's just not named.
That's
Captain
what I'm
Price.
getting at.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, he was like Private Price. The thing is, there's been a lot of things that have done that. Splinter Cell has already made movies and has made stuff like that. Rainbow Six has made TV shows. Jack Reacher was able to do stuff like that. Jack Ryan, same kind of a thing. if you take Dean Koontz or you take Robert Patterson or you take any of those guys that have written these books where they're bouncing all over the world doing that thing and you turn those into a movie, it's fine. Like Hunt for Red October bounces back and forth all over the place, yet it made for an amazing movie and probably a better book. I never read it.
I'd have to, because I know that there's a movie out there that just bounces around too much. I'm just not thinking of it off the top of my head.
Go bounces around a lot, and I loved it for it.
So
Go is this movie about a rave called Merry Xmas. And what it does is it goes through a person's viewpoint of that 24-hour period and then goes to the next person and shows it from their viewpoint for a 24-hour period and how the 3 or 4 lives, how they all came together for whatever that, thing is that happened towards the end of it. No spoilers, even though the movie came out in like the late 90s or something.
Gotcha. And, I should probably maybe provide a little bit of context on the Zelda movie. One of the most protected IPs in the industry, and the reason why it's protected from the movie industry is because of the original Super Mario Brothers movie and how disastrous it was. You can't do a single movie with The Legend of Zelda. Each game may be a very linear story, but when you start talking about the story of each game together is not linear whatsoever.
Okay, so you Back to the Future and you just retcon things and you do the same thing that Nintendo does, and it's like, this doesn't make sense. All right, that's fine. We'll just kind of like throw it as an afterthought for some Easter egg 6 games away from now.
That was one of the problems I have with Tears of the Kingdom is they tried getting on that bandwagon, and I was so upset with that.
Whatever. Thanks for joining us this week, guys. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Somewhere on
I don't think X is doing anything anymore. Although we did gain a couple of followers on there. Oh, by the way, the last thing I did want to bring up, apparently half the people that comment on our videos are just straight up cheaters. I don't know if you read how many people are cheating in these games. They're like, I was cheating and I've never been caught. And it's just like, are you proud that you're a piece of shit?
Cool.
And no, I'm not cutting that part.
No.
If you're cheating in games, you are a piece of shit.
Agreed.
Me.
And I think my mentality on the freedom to be able to choose whether you cheat or don't should exist. I think that was misinterpreted because yes, cheaters are pieces of shit. And yes, the world would be better off.
I am not blurring those out.
That's fine.
I'm not changing that.
No, I never said you should. Never said you should. So yes, I agree. They are pieces of shit. They ruin the fun of the game.
You can catch the podcast in its entirety on YouTube, Spotify, iHeart, and Amazon Music. See you next week.
Yep.